some ultimate super legends. If you, listen, he's laughing here. Listen. All right, we've got William Bell, Alan Danziger, and we've got Ed Gwynn right here. We also have Perry Lorenz, who's going to be joining us, and hopefully, we have Wayne Bell, who will be up here in a moment. He's inundated at his table, so we're going to go ahead and start rolling the entertainment that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They actually lived through production, and I can tell you, based on what I've been told, production was no piece of cake. All right, so let's start with William Bell here. Okay.
Here comes Perry.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for saving Sally.
Everyone. Perry was the driver of the truck. He rescued our heroine, Texas's first lady of terror films, the late Marilyn Burke. All right. So, okay, William. In the film, we're going to kick it right off. Your character, when that metal door opens and the mallet comes down, your character falls, and unlike other horror films up to that point, with the exception of very few, you went through the throes of death. There wasn't a quick cutaway. And that's because Toby Hooper, I'm told, wanted to illustrate that death is not easy. All right? So, talk a bit about just shooting. What was your death scene? What the kicking and the writing about it, etc. And I know as an actor, listen, you go through, you do what you do. But did you really, I guess ultimately, did you really think, now how am I going to convulse and die, and how am I going to give Toby what he wanted?
Absolutely.
There you go.
It was, for me, the most fun thing that I did in the movie, right? There's a quote, I think it was from Jimmy Cagney, if anybody knows who that is.
Yes.
No good actor dies quickly. So, taking that to heart, Toby and I talked about it, he had some ideas, and it was one of the few times in the whole film that he gave me direction. Other times I would ask him, I said, what do you want to do? Coming from a theater background, I said, what do you want to do in this scene? What's this scene really about? Toby's just said, do it, But when it came down to the death, he had ideas and I had ideas, and we finally collaborated and came up with something that still works today, and it's something I'm still proud of. It's the best thing I did in the movie as far as I'm concerned. But it was dying. His idea was the rally. But first, I just came out, and Gunnar was supposed to come out and hit me on the back of the head, and I fell down. And I said, no, why doesn't he come around with the hammer, hit me, my body follows that action. And then that's when Toby said, and then when you're laying there, have your feet start kicking on the ramp that went up to there, and then he'll have to hit you again, which he did. And the first time he did it, he was so pumped that it was a rubber mallet, right? But he hit me so hard, he broke all the blood vessels in my left eye. And then reached down, grabbed me like I was a rag doll, and just flipped me into this room. The thing was, the room, you saw the door, there was like maybe a foot past the door. So I had to get very small very quickly to just disappear. And I remember he slammed the door, and our producer, Ron Bozeman, came running back, and Toby came running back, and Ted Nicolau came running, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? So I knew I had done something right. And they were very concerned about the whole deal. So I went outside and had a smoke. I was still a smoker then. And Gunnar and I sat there for a while they put things back together, and then we did it again.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
But it really did illustrate that death is not easy. And it was a harrowing scene because of that. All right. Now, next up, this gentleman, Alan Danziger here. All right. Give him a hand, folks. All right. He told me a great story I'm going to share with you, and then I'm going to let him elaborate. That scene where he walks into Leatherface's lair and Leatherface jumps out. There's a scream, and you said the scream was not acting. That really scared the shit out of you.
You are correct.
I am correct.
First of all, how's everybody doing? Are we having a good time?
Yeah.
Quite a crowd, quite a crowd. Well, what Parrish is saying is that for that scene where I get killed, I actually had them blindfold me on the porch before I go into the house. And so I really worked myself up into a lather, or a tizzy, or whatever you call it. And so I had not seen Leatherface or Gunner in his mask and his outfit at all. That was the first time that I see him, is when I get killed. And so I saw somewhere where somebody had rated my scream as number 16 on the all-time best scream. And it was a blood-curdling scream, and I thought I did great until Toby yelled cut and came over and he said, "Alan, that's a great scream, but you gotta wait for him to get into the frame." You know, with the hammer. So we had to do it a few times, and as a result, they had a couple of guys pull down my belt behind with my belt loops and pulled me down, so I didn't take a blow that you normally would take with that hammer. You know, and that's almost 50 years ago. I'm still getting headaches, so it wasn't an easy deal. But the truth of it is that I wasn't an actor, and if you see the movie, you know that that's true. But the reason I got into the movie is because of the first one that I did, which was Toby's Eggshells. And I met a couple that this movie was supposed to be about. There was a young hippie kind of couple, and it was kind of like a psychedelic.
Fortunate to meet you until now, and it is absolutely an honor. All right. You were the rescuer of the heroine, my good friend, the late Marilyn Burns in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How did you come about that role on screen?
Well, I knew Jim Hinkle very well. We were friends in college. In fact, we called him Toes. I don't remember why, but I know him as Toes. And I was kind of a gearhead. I had a shop. I worked on cars and motorcycles, and they were worried about those chainsaws. And so I kept those chainsaws running. I took clutches apart so they wouldn't actually spin the blade and kill anybody. And got towards the end, and Jim said, "Well, we need somebody to drive this truck and save the girl, Marilyn, who I went to high school with and knew quite well, beautiful girl." And I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And if you look at the credits, it says I'm a stunt driver. Well, hell, we did that 15 times before we got what we used, and it looked like I made a U-turn. Right. And to be called a stunt driver for making a U-turn was kind of silly. But
hey, it's a credit, man.
I'll take it. But I had more to do behind the scenes than really in the movie at all. I just knew most of the players and worried about the songs and the mechanics of it all.
So you were the chainsaw maintenance guy.
That's right, man. What a role.
Well, what else did you do? I mean, anything else you want to share?
Oh, where that saw cuts into that meat in his leg there.
Oh, yeah.
I had a part in that. That was a piece of plate metal and a wooden steak from Randall's under his pants.
Yeah.
So,
I always wondered, and years ago, in speaking with the late Gunnar Hansen, I asked him, why did they risk his leg with the plate and the meat? And I mean, it was a tight shot. It could have been a prosthetic leg somewhere else. Yeah. And I won't tell you what he said, but anyway, I don't think Toby thought of that. You know? Maybe he was eating those brownies. I don't know. Yeah. But and down here we have Mr. Ed Gwynn. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Gwynn, the driver of the 18-wheeler, the Black Maria. All right. He's the guy that Leatherface tried to saw, and Ed jumped out the other side, and they did a bit of a run. He, along with Marilyn, ran like hell. Ed, how did you happen upon that role, and what was it like that day? Or days, plural.
Yeah, for me it was just a day.
It was a day, okay.
Yeah, just a day, but the role came because Bob Burns was an old friend of mine. And Austin is a small town, or at least in those days, and so anybody kind of in the arts knew anybody else who was in the arts. And so Bob and I worked on the Ranger, Texas humor magazine at UT, and kind of knew each other from that. And I moved to California in '68, and playing music and hanging out, and then decided to get in the trucking business. I don't exactly remember what inspired me to do it, but me and my brother-in-law bought a truck, and eventually, rock and roll being what it is, I had the opportunity to move back home. Fortunately, I had a little business to bring with me, and so I'm back in Austin, and it just coincided with them needing a truck, and Bob called me up and asked me if I, had a day to spare. Sure. And I went and picked up the trailer, because I didn't haul cattle, and they rented a trailer somewhere, I forget, some truck stop. Drove out there, picked it up, went to the set, and started the day at about 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock, and ran my ass off, as I remember, all day till the sun set. I'm open to questions. Is probably a good way to get details from me anyway, if you guys have any. I got good ears.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take questions in a moment, but we have joining us now Mr. Wayne Bell. All right? He brought you the audio. You sure can. Before we get to Wayne,
Just a brief,
Terry has another comment.
just a brief anecdote. I got paid $50 a day. I think I was on the set for maybe 4 days. And we signed away our rights to the Screen Actors Guild. They now own that footage, and I thought nothing would ever come of it. I made my $200 and it was over. And then American Psycho got made, and that guy's doing sit-ups in front of the TV all sweaty, and the scene that my name is playing in the background. And they sent me a check for $1,800. And then a few years later, there's a Bruce Willis movie, and somebody told me the name of it, I forgot, where he tells his kid to quit watching the TV and do his effing homework. Slams the door, walks out of the room, the kid turns the TV back on, and that scene's playing. And then never $1,800. And now there's another movie being made today, and I don't know the name of it, but they're going to give me another $1,800. So.
Yes. And we have here Wayne Bell, as I said, audio guy. You can thank him for the loud roar and the loud screams and all the great audio that was captured.
I don't have any voice yet. I can't do that. I'm so glad that y'all are here, but I'm really just glad to see my compadres from making this film.
Yesteryear.
That are still vertical, right. I've had so many people, bring me pictures of Gunner, who's a good friend of mine, and it's a pisser that we're only here so long. I'm sure it's great that we're all only here so long, but it's sad to lose him. Gunner was a good friend, so, and a really great guy. And pretty much everybody that I got to know through Chainsaw have been great folks. And there's a lot of squabbling after, as you might imagine, because of the mafia getting most of the money. But I've managed to stay friends, even with Ed, with all of them. And really, filmmaking, you don't think of it will draw together a community, because generally people come together, shoot a film, they all go their separate ways. But I make a lot of friends at Chainsaw, and those that are still vertical, even Alan. You can stand up, right? I've only seen you sit. Look out. All right, it's a pleasure to hook up with all. So, I appreciate Roy putting this together, and we can all kind of get together, and thank you all for even being interested in our movie. Absolutely. After all these years.
Well, you know, Marilyn told me, or she spoke often about filming in the van. Okay? No room for, you know, boom mic. So you guys rigged, I think, you know, lavaliers, the portable mics on everyone, and you were out of camera, and Ted was on the
Ted.
floor mixing, and
We were a two-man sound crew, and movies don't normally. I did a lot of things sound-wise for this film, and the shooting part of it. Ted was at the recorder, and I was at the microphone, which is the fun part. But in the van, there wasn't room for that, so we wired up the van basically, and Ted then mixed, lying in the back with the mixing gear on his tummy, and I would just wait at the base station as the support guy. So Ted is the guy that was in the hot seat on that one. When it comes to the big climactic dinner scene, which was a 26-hour shoot, well, I'm the guy standing up highest, swinging the mic over things, and as you know, heat rises, as do smells. So it was I was in the hot seat on that one. But Ted gets the credit for that, and Marilyn was very considerate of both of us as we were working, because you know she worked so hard on that film, literally, that and she still had a good attitude, and it was a joy to work with her, and a joy to see her afterwards in all these gatherings. And actually, I stayed at her house when I went to Los Angeles to do the music for Toby's next film after this, which was
Eaten Alive.
or Starlight Slaughter.
Or Starlight Slaughter.
Or, and this is Toby's favorite title for it, Croc.
Croc.
Yeah, that's what he thought about.
Well, you know, Eaten Alive up north was shown as Eaten Alive. Down south, because we like slaughters and massacres, at all the drive-ins, we saw it as Starlight Slaughter. And so I still think they should call it Starlight Slaughter, damn it, you know. Whatever, right? So when you guys actually were rocking and rolling and you were making Chainsaw, we talked about this, you know, but we gotta touch on it. You guys were shooting in Texas heat. You had a number of mishaps. Marilyn told of the one where gunner slipped, the chainsaw went in the air, and everybody just sort of hunkered down, hoping the chainsaw didn't fall on someone. You know, did you, as you were going through all these things, did you even envision that this film would go on to become this mega cult classic that it has? Obviously, I mean, anybody.
No, how could you imagine such a thing?
You can.
I figured, for me, because it was kind of the beginning of my film acting, I'd done a few things before, but was coming from the drama department at UT, and thought, well, this is a good learning step for me. I'll learn a lot how to work on it.
No, I actually enjoyed it, but it makes ours look like a Disney movie compared to the. Isn't that right?
But by a show of hands, how many consider the new one the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I mean, come on. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but it ain't Chainsaw, because it ain't got these guys, all right?
But I think a lot of it had to do with the original is when they changed the name from Leatherface to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was, you know, that was brilliant, and the editing and the use of John Larroquette with the
narrative,
you know, the scrolling. So a guy by the name of Warren Scarron, who was first head of the film commission, he came up with it. But I remember Toby calling me a couple of times to come in and watch the dailies or the rushes, and I did that. And he asked me, well, what can I do to improve the movie? And I said, have the seats facing away from the screen. So that told you how little I knew of what was going to happen.
The original script was called Head Cheese. I don't know if you knew. I'm going to stand up so I can see you. It was Head Cheese, and then it became Leatherface, and when we were filming it was Leatherface. And yes, a last minute addition was the title, which of course made the difference. That's probably why you're all here, because that title got people into the theaters and got all the wonderfully bad reviews that drew so many people. Oh, I've got to see this. There's so many reviews that talked about how gory it was, and you probably know it's not gory. There's surprisingly little compared to the Bulgarian Wonder that just is hitting the theaters now. It was shot in Bulgaria, by the way.
Yes, it was.
So part of the reason that was great is that it left it to your mind to create the scare, and that was partly my job doing sound, to help sell that without our having to see it. And so I would encourage any of you that are young people that are getting into creative arts, you really don't have to be graphic. You don't have to show it all. You can leave a lot to the imagination, and it'll be much more powerful. So if there's anything to be learned about why this, of all the things called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, why this one is beloved, it's because a lot of it happened in your mind. So remember that as you write or as you create things, and especially young folks that are interested in getting into this work. Because be careful what you do in college, because what I did in college, I'm still standing up here talking about it. That's where I was at. So, but just have fun while you're doing it, because that was your point. We did have a lot of fun doing this, and it was a great lark for me. So, anyway.
Any questions from you?
And yeah, well, I want to go, but as this film went through its different title incarnations, I've had the story shared with me that the title, the infamous, notorious, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre title, that Toby was in Sears Roebuck. There used to be a Sears Roebuck. And he was in the chainsaw department, and it hit him, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, do any of you know if that's an absolutely true story or?
Never heard it.
Never heard that. Well, I don't know. I've heard it, and I've always wondered if
He
it's
thought
true.
about, he saw chainsaws and how to use a chainsaw.
Yeah, right.
But he didn't come up with the title, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Gotcha. Richard, Glenn, how does it feel to be a part of a classic that all these years later, all these fans still show up to embrace and pay homage to?
It feels great. I'm amazed at the enthusiasm that you guys show. I mean, I come here with my cheeks exercised. I've been preparing for, 3 days of grinning, because that's what you guys make me do. It's really fun to see you.
Absolutely. All right. We will take some questions from the audience. Are you guys ready? Give me the first questions, because I'm coming to you. Okay? Come on, I know you're not shy. Anybody? Hey, all right.
I just want to make a statement to Mr. Glenn. I want to say thank you. It was really refreshing seeing movies from back then, being an actual person of color survive. So that was wonderful to see.
Amen. Absolutely. And next question.
Don't do that question yet. You need to know that Ed was a really important part of Austin's creative scene, and that he not just showing up in this movie, but running a great recording studio and being one of the seminal rock and roll bands of Austin in the Conquer Room, and being just an important guy in making Austin the creative place that it became. Ed was an important member of that, and that shouldn't be overlooked.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you. And I want to add that, it's so often talked about, but I got to bring it up, because you can't talk about the success of Chainsaw without it. In spite of so many things, this film has gone on to become this classic that people still show up in droves to see, to pay tribute to. When the deal was made for distribution originally with Bryanston, and the owner had the name Butchie Pirano, come on. Bryanston Distribution became Bryanston Distribution because they made a fortune distributing the adult film classic Deep Throat, okay? think Chainsaw was their next release, right? And initially, it was quite a challenge trying to see any profits or regain any control. I know that there were meetings held and between Kim and attorneys, and somebody comment on that. Tell us that story, William. Go for it. Oh yeah. If they're all dead, they're not going to come back.
I just know that there were a lot of promises made.
Sure.
And then I felt like, personally, I don't know exactly what happened, but the guys in New York took advantage of the guys from Texas. They
Yep.
assumed that they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And if they gave them any lip, they would just cut their lips off. You know, it was like that
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So it's this part makes up for all that money that we missed.
Yeah.
All the fans that we get to deal with now and the fun we get to have, I tell you, it's more than we could have engaged. You know?
Absolutely.
So anyway, it all worked out. In the end, we're all very happy.
Happy ending is always the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, as I tell people, the real massacre took place after the movie came out, and this was in 1974, and my parents were retired in Florida, and I told the story before, but it bears repeating. They ended up going to see it in a porno theater, and it was a double feature, and the second feature was Debbie Does Dialysis. So that kind of gives you an idea of what was going on about that time.
Get him out of here. Yeah, right, exactly. Good.
All right, so let's hear some questions. Come
You got
on.
one behind you, buddy.
Right here. You have to yell at me.
Bill, how many times did you have to do the twitch? And you look like you're in really great shape. Can you still recreate that moment?
Oh, wow.
Pretty please.
Bet you, have you been asked to do that yet?
No.
What's it? Hey, it's a first.
Thank you, Mary.
Welcome.
We did that, I think, excuse me, we did that twice, I believe, if my memory serves me. No, I don't think I could do it again. I would need Gunner here. If Gunner was here, I would give it a shot for you. But, oh well.
You can think about it in your dreams, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's all in our heads anyway.
There you go.
I'll get you back later, Mary.
Next question.
Quick
Hold on.
change.
What?
What do you say? What?
Look at me back. Look at me back.
Okay, we have a brief interruption, and my sincerest apologies. It won't take but a moment. But the photo ops for Felissa Rose
And Joe Bob Briggs.
and Joe Bob Briggs has changed. If you want to have your photo op with Felissa Rose and Joe Bob,
Yeah, no, Felissa Rose.
just Felissa Rose, head over to her table now. Okay? Just letting you know. Now back to Chainsaw. Questions? Come on, for the legends of Texas here. All right?
One back here.
All right.
This question is for Wayne. Wayne, are you ever going to reveal how you created the flashbulb sting sound?
The Stinger.
The Stinger.
Not yet. There's always been a desire for there to be a soundtrack album, and hopefully there will be this year.
Oh, wow.
No promises, nothing is in ink. But to do it right, I'll have to go back to the original material. And I'm the only person that knows the original material, so we better get me while I'm still around.
There you go.
In theory, that may happen this year. Let me play with it, and then after it's out, we'll see. But for now, just let your imagination do the work, all right?
All right. More questions. Come on. Who we have? Hey, over here.
As far as production favorite part of the movie that y'all liked, even if it wasn't your part. Yeah.
One at a time. What's your favorite part in Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Actually, my favorite part is the gas station scene. You know, where we pull in to get gas, and then Jim Seadow comes out, and that, you know, troll-looking guy that comes over and starts washing the windows. Well, Bill's in the front seat, and I'm in the driver's seat, and I inadvertently hit the windshield wipers, and so it splashed all this soapy, dirty, soapy water on Jim Seadow's face. And as he's trying to deliver his lines, he got this soapy water dripping down, and Bill and I both lost it, and we never got it back. So much so that Toby ended up walking off the set. He got so angry with us, and Kim Henkel had to finish it. So that's one of my favorites.
William.
Favorite scenes? I will tell you what it is, especially since Terry's not here. My favorite scene, kind of weird, was when she got put on the hook. And I was there watching it, and I knew how the trick was done. It disturbed me so much. She was so good, Gunner was so good, the moment was so good that I watched it one time and I had to leave. That it upset my stomach, my being, you know?
Right.
I thought it was so powerful, you know? And you, again, like
You don't see.
You don't see the hook on
The hook never touches
any of
the
that
skin. You don't
stuff.
see it.
But it really
It
works.
was her acting. And
Yeah, that's right. The whole.
Yeah. Which again, that goes back to, again, you know, and I have seen this new Texas Bulgarian chainsaw. Too much gore and not enough suspense, not enough intensity. That's what lacks. It's a great movie for gore film. It would have been a great Friday the 13th or 24, but not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was not seen, but feeling. You felt the raw sweat, grit in this film. And that's
You can't get lightning in a bottle.
you can't get lightning in the bottle.
And that's what we have, all of us.
You did.
The crew, the cast, the whole gang, you know? Just the right people at the right time in the right place.
Correct. Absolutely. Favorite scene?
Well, it's self-serving, but I like the end when she,
I do too.
when she climbs in the truck. Well, actually, the best scene is when Ed runs over the dude, and really that well done. It kind of set the stage, and then when she climbs in the back of the truck and she's being slashed out, it just barely makes it, and it's the end of the movie. And I just thought that was well done.
Yeah, she's climbing in this truck with a broken or injured leg. There's Leatherface right on the heels.
Behind
And
her,
it
yeah.
makes you sit in your chair and you're wanting to push her in the bed of the truck to help her out.
Oh yeah, the dance at the end when he's waving that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that chain was live. A lot of times
Really?
they weren't necessarily, but that was a live chain.
Wow.
That's pretty bold, dangerous crap waving that heavy chain.
Yeah, I would say so. Wayne, your favorite scene?
I'm not sure, but before we get to that, on the scene that you just mentioned where the hitchhiker gets splattered against the. Did y'all talk about the technique of doing that?
No, we did not. Look, in fact, I've never.
Obviously, your
had
memory
anyone-
works, so tell us about it.
Tell us about it.
And this is actually a famous Charlie Chaplin trick that, and when he did it spectacularly. But they shot it in reverse. That is, Ed starts off at the truck and works backwards, and the truck backs up, as I recall. That it was entirely done in reverse, but it plays, of course.
Oh, sure.
For you, partly because of editing. And Larry Carroll, the editor, and Sally Richardson, the assistant editor, get a lot of credit for why Chainsaw is great. And Toby gets a lot of credit for why the editing is great, because they were following his instructions a lot. He gave them a lot of latitude, but Toby's great strength was as an editor coming into this. He's a very creative guy, but he understood the power and the things you can do with editing.
Sure.
So, part of the reason this film is great is the editing, and all three of those folks deserve credit for that. And that's an editorial trick in a way, being able to cut in at the right moment without revealing how you actually did it.
That's awesome. I've never
Well, favorite scenes. The, of course, self-serving, the whole sound design at the beginning.
Sure.
You know, but I think the dance also, because that was Gunnar getting to be as expressive as he ever got to be in the whole film, and he had a great time doing it. And Gunnar was a real pal, and it's so signature. When I drove up today, there was a character. I mean, how many chainsaws can one building? How many Leatherfaces can one building hold? You know. So there's Leatherface doing the Gunnar dance as I drove up. It's like, that's pretty iconic. So,
That's pretty iconic.
I can't really single one out, but at the moment that flashes to mind.
Excellent. And for you, Mr. Gwynn?
Yeah, favorite scene? I think when I reached out to get little Marilyn, or who I found out was little Marilyn, to pull her into the truck, I hadn't factored in how hyped up I was in my attempt to act and look normal, or not normal, and how light she was. And I grabbed her and threw her into the top of the truck. Her head, bam, hit it. And took 2 takes to get that one right. The second time I kind of calmed down and quit sort of freaking out. But yeah, that was that sticks in my memory as a scene. So whenever I see the film, I kind of look at my crazy expression before I grab her and go, yeah, you're going to do something stupid. Also, last thing, I guess, I wonder, talking about the original head cheese title for the film, how many of you have actually eaten head cheese? There you go. Then everybody goes, ooh. But you've heard of souse, right? No? All right, I'm old.
Well, explain to us what that is. Come on.
Head cheese? It's gelatinous, so Jell-O with little bits of meat cut into it and made into a sort of tureen of pork bits. Some from the head of the pig. It's total. That's it.
That's it. And now we know what they need to be selling for lunch at the gas station.
That's right.
And here.
That's right.
I hope Roy heard that. Head cheese on the menu. Any other questions? Come on, we've got folks up here. All right.
Has anybody been back to the house to try the menu there?
Yeah, we were all there once.
Yeah. Actually, I was there last Saturday. After the new one came out, we went out. Neil, the hitchhiker, was supposed to go with me, but he couldn't make it. And I didn't think anybody would be there, but when I got there, the place was packed and they were lined up for me, so they had a ball. We had a great time.
Did you all give away your rights? Did you all just get paid one time, all of you, or just?
No,
He still doesn't need the money.
I signed a thing that basically said, it used to be mine, but now it's yours. You can throw it away, use it, get rich, and I'm done. And so I was really surprised when these checks started rolling in. It's total of 3 now. So I don't know about it. You get paid later?
Well, I did the music.
Ask him.
Actually, I got more money for the Chainsaw 3D for not being in the movie than I got for being in the movie. That's show business. It's a learning experience.
You gotta love Alan. He is the guy that's gonna make you laugh no matter what. I mean, even when it's losing money, he laughs about it. So, great guy. Go ahead, William.
Well, we had a great time working together, and it's great to see him again.
There you go.
I wanted to say though, in general, try not to get too choked up last week. We all missed our friends that couldn't be here today, you know. And it took us all to create the movie. And to the guys who aren't here, a round of applause, please.
And it should not be forgotten that Paul Partain, who we all hated in the movie, was really the sweetest guy. And same for Gunnar. You know, very bright, very intelligent, just a wonderful guy. And so if you had the chance to meet him before he passed away, you met a terrific person.
Yeah, Marilyn told me that during production she really couldn't stand Paul. But after he was right, she found out he was a nice guy. She liked him. She really liked him. Anyway, what I want to say, I want to echo what William said. These guys gave us a classic that lives on. I watched the film. I saw the film the first time when I was 10 years old at the Circle Drive-In. And I've seen it about 1,000 times since then. It never gets old. These guys live on forever, and the ones that have left us live on forever because of Chainsaw. And I have to say, in memory of Marilyn Burns, she is and always will be the First Lady of Texas Terror Films. Come on. Give her a special round of applause. She's looking down, I know. Any more questions? One more? All right.
Not a question, I just want to say thank you. Been watching Chainsaw, and I love you.
Thank you all for being here.
For
This
4 years.
is what makes it a terrific experience for us, is all you fans. Because when I first went to my first one, I honestly, as I mentioned, I thought I'd be meeting mainly serial killers, the wannabes. And it turns out the nicest people. And they just happen to love this genre. And so thank you for making it what it is. We appreciate it.
All right, any final words in closing? Anything you want to add? Anything? Mr. Gwynn? Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
What's for lunch?
Barbecue. You're on the menu. Head cheese. The cast of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Give them a big hand. I was just going to say, thank you. You're Texas horror royalty, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people who wanted to grow up and get into making horror films. And maybe you make no money, but you love what you do. All right, thank you guys.